Let's begin with the genesis of the crisis, the corporate battleground.
Okay, so the initial flashpoint was a deeply illegal operation. We learned that Haydar and Nezir were running illicit arms shipments.
And they talk about it so casually.
That's what's so telling. The sources describe them discussing this highly dangerous venture smuggling weapons as if it were just a standard, easily managed good deal.
Just another Tuesday at the office. That this was an operation that threatened to drag the entire Karahan family name through the mud.
And that's when Ateş steps in.
Right. Ateş, the ultimate protector of his brand, he comes in with just catastrophic decisiveness. He cancels the shipment, orders the whole operation cleared immediately.
And in that moment, he completely reestablishes the hierarchy, right? He declares, I get the final word.
But the truly fascinating part is the calculation behind his move, why he did it.
Yes. His intervention wasn't purely ethical, and it wasn't even really about Mercan's family, which you might assume in these high-drama situations.
No, he lays it out in these chillingly corporate terms. He acted purely to protect a brand asset.
His own name, Ateş Karahan.
So he's basically engaging in what you could call reputational shielding. He calculates the negative externality, the damage that Haydar and Nezir's arrest would inflict on the Karahan brand.
He saves them from prison only because their ruin would tarnish him.
Exactly. He's protecting the integrity of his name and nothing else.
And he tells them that, almost with his brutal indifference. He says, just thinking about my name saved you from prison.
Wow. It just reveals that for someone at Atesh's level, morality is, well, it's often just a function of self-preservation. It's about protecting assets.
And he holds all the cards. He controls the legal documents, the signatures that implicate them. He's the gatekeeper of their freedom.
So what happens to the guy who set this all up? The sources point to Shaheen as the one who tricked Haydar and Nezir.
Right, he's the one who led to the deal collapsing and exposing them all.
And Haydar, predictably, takes this very personally. He wants revenge.
Immediately. He vows betrayal is paid for with death.
But Ateş has already neutralized that liability, hasn't he?
Oh yeah, he's way ahead of them. He ordered Shaheen sent abroad, eliminating any local witnesses, any loose ends. The sources say he wanted no trace left behind.
So while the crime was real, the corporate cleanup is surgical.
Totally. It's designed to eliminate any long-term liability.
But this cleanup leads to an incredibly precarious situation. Despite all that, we learn that Ateş is now stuck with Nezir as a partner. Why is that? I mean, if he controls the whole operation, why is he forced into a partnership with a known arms smuggler?
Well, this really highlights the deep complexities of these kinds of multinational operations. He may have stopped the illegal shipment, but the sources imply that Nezir holds some kind of structural leverage.
So like legitimate contracts or something.
Exactly. It could be legitimate intertwined contracts or maybe regulatory approvals that Ateş can't just dissolve without causing massive financial damage somewhere else in his conglomerate.
So this forced alliance means that Nezir, even though he's controlled, remains an active poison within Ateş's business structure.
And that sets the stage for everything that happens back at the mansion.
Which is key because that rot in the company immediately seeps into the toxic, already unstable family dynamic at home. Let's look at the emotional calculus now.
Well, to really get it, we have to look back for a second. The sources highlight this tragic history, specifically that Mercan's family views the death of Murat, who had killed a girl himself, as this twisted form of justice.
So there's already this history of death and retribution hanging over every single interaction.
Absolutely. And that historical vengeance explains the immediate suspicion when Aslı is poisoned recently. Mercan was falsely accused and just terribly mistreated.
But the revelation about the true culprit is a huge twist.
It wasn't Mercan at all. It was Haydar's wife, Nermin.
Nermin actually ordered the poison, and her confession is so terse. It's just, that was a mistake.
That little phrase gives Ateş absolute domestic leverage, and he immediately weaponizes this knowledge.
But not against Nermin.
No, not against Nermin. He goes after the true target of his frustration, his mother, Müzeyyen.
And this is where we see Ateş's corporate ruthlessness just translate directly into domestic tyranny.
Müzeyyen was continuing her aggressive behavior, trying to provoke Mercan by inviting Nezir, Ateş's involuntary corporate partner, into their home.
So Ateş responds by deploying a full-scale financial sanction against his own mother.
And the punishment is so precise. It's designed to inflict maximum pain and humiliation.
He freezes all her bank cards, cancels her company payments.
Takes away her car.
Right. This isn't discipline. It's an act of, you could call it financial terrorism. It's meant to remind the matriarch that she holds no power outside of what he allows.
And she protests, right. She claims they had an agreement with clear boundaries.
But Ateş just shuts her down. Instantly. He underscores the shift in power with that chilling line. No one sets limits for me. I decide who, when, and how much I burn.
It's a declaration that all rules, corporate and domestic, are subject to his control.
And in the middle of all this financial warfare, we get this painful glimpse of unresolved grief.
Yeah, Muzayan, in a fit of rage, tries to burn Mirat's belongings in the fire pit. She's literally trying to erase her son's memory, and with it, the source of her pain.
But in this really profound moment, Mercan intervenes. She tells Nerman, Murat's mother, to stand tall before them, to not show weakness.
It's a remarkable momentary breach in that wall of hatred. It's built on the common ground of just trying to survive the toxicity of that house.
But it's so fleeting.
It is. And what stands out is how quickly that empathy is just extinguished. Nerman later turns her fury on Haydar, blaming him for prioritizing the corporate struggle over their son's memory.
So the pain, once it was briefly shared, just reverts back into blame and vengeance.
And that sets the stage for the ultimate clash. The war of wills between Ateş and Mercan.
Ateş, having asserted his authority everywhere else, now moves to enforce what we'd call instrumental control over his wife.
His demands are absolute. They cover their marriage, her professional life, everything. Do nothing without telling me first.
But he's trying to use the company hierarchy, where he's the CEO, to enforce obedience in their private relationship.
And the sources even say he physically restrains her arm. It underlines his desperate physical edge to his need for submission.
And that demand for obedience is what sparks Mercan's monumental defiance. It's all rooted in her self-worth.
She doesn't just argue about schedules. She argues on an existential level.
She tells him his actions have wounded her pride. She calls him a tyrant who's making her lose faith in humanity.
And she draws a clear line in the sand. A life without pride, she says, is useless.
So the conflict becomes this battle between his instrumental control, using the company and marriage as tools, and her existential pride.
Her refusal to let her compliance become the death of her self-worth.
And she doesn't just talk. Her rebellion is strategic. She knows Ateş's weakness is Nezir, the partner he can't get rid of.
So she goes right for it. Mercan secretly confirms a business partnership with Nezir and signs a new project with him.
She's directly leveraging Ateş's structural liability against him.
It's an act of brilliant insubordination. I mean, she's using the corporate rules of the game to undermine the very man who wrote them.
And the showdown is explosive. She confronts him directly.
I don't need your permission. And then, unequivocally, I am not your slave.
So Ateş, seeing his ultimate authority challenged, reverts to his last piece of leverage.
He tries to inflict the ultimate restriction, banning her from the company entirely. He diminishes her by saying she's just an architect working in my company.
And declares she can't come to work as long as Nezir is there.
He tries to strip away the one thing she values more than safety, her professional identity. This whole power struggle just shows that, in this world, control over someone's career is seen as the best way to control their personal life.
But while the elite are trading pride and power in this high-stakes game, we have to shift our focus to the devastating consequences of their negligence.
Yes, this shift is essential for understanding the true cost of their war. We move away from the mansion owners to the service staff, Banaz, Satek, Berat, and Malik.
And they are drowning in the direct financial wreckage of the Karahan Corporation's failures.
The sources reveal that because of the collapse of Haydar and Miran's business, salaries haven't been paid for months. Berat is burdened with $1 million in personal debt.
$1 million. That is an impossible figure for a service worker. It's the concrete result of all that corporate pride and irresponsibility.
And this impossibility forces the whole staff community into these extreme, heartbreaking measures. They pool their resources to save Berat.
And the cost is immense. We have to pause on the detail that Banaz contributes her burial money.
That detail is just profoundly tragic. Burial money is the final security blanket, the last asset ensuring dignity in death.
The fact that she's willing to give that up just highlights the level of desperate trust and connection among the staff.
They view Berat as family. And Shisek and Malik also empty their savings, recognizing that his survival is key to their shared stability.
But the narrative takes a dark turn because desperation breeds this catastrophic gamble.
Berat takes this pooled, hard-earned money and hands it over to a childhood friend, Solly.
Who promises an immediate and unbelievable return. The money will double or triple quickly.
And this is the moment where we have to analyze his decision, not just as poor judgment, but as a symptom of pure economic desperation.
He's so burdened by this structural failure, unpaid salaries, impossible debt, that he loses the ability to think rationally.
He has to believe the impossible, because the mundane, slow path of earning money is just not going to save his family.
And Malek, the voice of caution, sees the red flag. He notes, no one makes that much money so quickly.
But Bharat is already committed. He insists on trusting Solly and, crucially, decides to keep this highly risky investment secret from his mother.
He's trying to protect her from worry while gambling away their entire future.
The contrast here is just stunning. You have Muzian suffering from financial sanctions, a punishment from her son, due to pride and revenge.
And then you have the staff suffering from structural economic neglect.
Muzian's ruin is a choice of tyranny. Bharat's ruin is a consequence of necessity. But both are acts of control, aren't they? Atesh trying to control his mother, Bharat trying to control his sinking financial fate.
It's a complete system where attempts at control, whether corporate or emotional, just produce wider chaos and devastating consequences. Atesh's attempt at total control leads directly to Mercan's revolt and the staff's poverty.
Muzian's vengeance leads to her own financial ruin.
And Bharat's necessary gamble may lead to the permanent collapse of the staff's stability.
The emotional weight of this constant fighting is palpable. Mercan reflects on this cost, noting that she regrets the days before she met Atesh and observing that no one around them is smiling anymore.
Everyone feels like their souls have died.
That psychological scar tissue is universal. It affects the millionaire and the service worker alike.
So we've seen corporate brand integrity prioritized over human life, existential pride prioritized over cooperation, and desperation forcing a lethal financial gamble. The entire system is just driven by reaction, not reason.
Indeed. The philosopher referenced in the sources gave us the perfect summation of this whole story. When the heart begins to speak, the ear hears no other sound. And in this high-stakes environment, where Atesh's heart speaks of protecting his name, Mercan speaks of demanding dignity, Haidar's cries for vengeance, and Bharat's just screams in desperation, how can any of them distinguish the voice of genuine feeling from the dangerous whispers of self-destruction? It seems the deepest tragedy is that everyone is listening only to the pounding of their own wounded heart, completely deaf to the warnings and blind to the wreckage they're causing.